What it do, y'all? It's your girl T Pretty Blogger Live. Welcome to another Teeism, right? So, for this episode of Teeism, we're gonna jump right into the community. We followed up with episode six, or we ended off on episode six with being a matriarch requires you to have resources, right? You can't be a matriarch with a flat purse. Let's dig deeper into that system and think about what happens when matriarchy and patriarchy form together to make a community. When they work hand in hand, you have a community, right? A community is a makeup of basically people that help each other and do things for each other. But I've seen my generation yearn, I mean, yearn for community. I was born in 1995, so I'm technically a zillennial, which is like I understand millennials, but I also understand Gen Z, so I'm in that weird space, right? But people that were born between like 1990 to 2003, which are now functioning grown adults, yearn for community. And I'm thinking to myself, what happened to community that we knew? For example, I'm African American. If you're African American, you know Sunday was a day where all your family met up. Y'all got out of church or whatever your spirituality practice. You met up at Big Mama house or Papa house or Auntie house or your own house if your mom was the matriarch in the family. Somebody bought a dish or somebody cooked or somebody bought the meat for the cook. And then everybody came over, paper plates, sodas, playing dominoes, cards. It wasn't necessarily a big shindig, but everybody in the community got together. For my East Coast homies and homegirls, if you stayed in the East Coast, you had a stoop. Everybody met up on the stoop. If you're down south, everybody met up in the front yard. So on, so on, so on. Any way you choose, right? Well, we're missing that aspect. And I'm thinking to myself, what caused for that to just disappear? Because we're raised in it. We're raised in it. A lot of us grew up with those aspects of cooking on Sunday, going to church, hanging out with friends. But what happened? And I think the thing that really hurt our like experience of community is convenience. We don't realize how inconvenient our parents were being or have been to form community. For example, if my mother needed a babysitter, she would call my grandmother. I was a grandma baby. I stayed at my grandma's house a lot. Shout out 601 Harlem, East Waco, born and raised, right? But because my grandmother could have been inconvenient, she still kept us because it wasn't inconvenient. My mama knew she called my mama Emma to drop us off at 601 Harlem to take care of us. It was an inconvenience. But my grandmother didn't mind that inconvenience because she loved us, but also she was helping my mom because she knew my mom was going to be pretty much doing what she needed to do to handle her business. And also my mother's now a matriarch in her community of her family on her mother's side, right? So it was all for a better cause. Sometimes we don't think that far ahead as our generation because we can't necessarily see good things that far ahead because of things that we dealt with. COVID, a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity in our generation kind of keeps us from seeing like the good of what we could do if we help people, but that also keeps us from experiencing genuine community and genuine friendships and just genuine families, right? And I also noticed that our generation does not like inconvenience because of we never had to really deal with it head on a lot. For example, we had everything at our fingertips. I grew up in kindergarten on a Macintosh computer, okay, the big gray ones. I knew how to click and do a whole lot of things on the internet the same way I learned how to write in cursive. Some people don't even write in cursive no more, but that's not the time for that conversation. But the idea is that I kind of was able to really get access to everything at a young age. I was a teenager. I had instant access to music. I could tell you how many times I actually went to go buy CDs in a physical CD store until I started collecting CDs. And still this day, I still click and go on eBay to buy vintage CDs or CDs that I missed out as a kid. Everything's available at my fingertips. That is something that is a blessing, but it kind of hurts us from building community because we miss the process of going to look and going to seek and going to build, right? Also, we're deep in cutoff culture. So we believe in cutting everybody off that does not do what we say do or does not agree with us or makes us have a uncomfortable conversation, right? And one way to build community is uncomfortable conversations. A lot of us have cut off family members because we don't like the uncomfortable conversations. Now, this is not the same as cutting off or going no contact with a family member that literally disrespect you or abuse you. That's not the same thing. But like cutting off family members because they're asking you uncomfortable questions like, hey, what do you plan on doing the next 5 years? That's just a regular question. And if you don't have the answer, you're going to say, I don't know. Just say, I don't know. And then if you feel that you're being pressed, just say, hey, y'all making me uncomfortable. I'm sorry. But I don't know. And they'll either respect it or they won't respect it, right? But that's not something you should cut your family members off for, because that's your community, especially if your family is willing to help you, right? So I think our generation does not know how to do three things to build community, and that is one, to be vulnerable, right? Everybody want to be cool, chalant, right? Everybody, they don't mess with me, I'm cool, I don't want to mess with them, that's replaceable, boo boo boo. Some people aren't replaceable. Like, the role is replaceable, but some people aren't replaceable, and you just have to keep in mind that just because you can replace the role does not mean it's going to serve just as well as the last person that served that role was. And when you're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to speak up about things, you're not going to build friendships, you're not going to build community, you're not going to build relationships, platonic and romantic, because you're not allowing yourself to really make room for that repair that makes the community stronger, the bond that makes the community stronger. Think of it like lifting weights. I'm in the gym a lot, right? Every time I go and work out my leg day, I pick up a heavier weight. By the time I do my last set, my legs feel like noodles. But I know that after I take a 1 to 2 day rest break from the gym, eat my protein, do all the little things I need to do to make sure that I'm repairing, right? Those muscles are stronger, those tears in those muscles are stronger. So I have a stronger base. So when I go back to the gym and do the same workout the next week, I pick up probably 2 to 5 pounds heavier. I know that I'll be able to lift it, and I know I'm doing the same process because I'm building a strong base. If we're not vulnerable, we're not allowing for people to see the truth. And if you're not allowing for people to see the truth, then you're avoiding uncomfortable conversations. And if you're not having those uncomfortable conversations, you're not allowing for yourself to collect the data you need to either decide if you want to repair, reconstruct, or build, or just leave that community. And I think that that is one reason why we're not building authentic communities and making authentic friendships, because we're afraid just to be real, right? The other one is inconvenience. Inconvenience is something that I think we never actually had to deal with as Gen Z, Zillennials, and Millennials, but also as Americans. Imagine this: the Wi-Fi cut off. Actually, I'll give you a real situation. I went to Prairie View A&M University in 2017. The Wi-Fi cut off for about 8 hours. If you was on Prairie View campus in 2017, you remember exactly. It was February. The Wi-Fi cut off for 8 freaking hours. People were freaking out in that area. It was a huge inconvenience. But one thing I did see is people were in phase one, phase two, phase three, outside playing. People were going to the MSC and actually having conversations because they were inconvenienced. But that inconvenience made everybody actually go and see where everybody was at and actually have conversation. It's really strengthened the community, because I ain't gonna lie, after that, I graduated 2019. That class, we actually was outside. Like, we was literally trying to find places to go. Where everybody going? We on Twitter. Where everybody going? Let's go out. Before you know it, we be packed out in La Fuentes drinking margaritas and nobody on their phone, because we're talking, because we're building community, right? Because we're going to seek each other. That's the point of the phone. Not saying it's them phones, but shit, it might be them phones. But that's not the point of this. But like, we have to be vulnerable. We have to be okay with uncomfortable conversations and be able to work through them. We have to be willing to be inconvenienced in community. A birthday dinner. A birthday dinner. Sometimes we don't want to go to birthday dinners. It's not that we broke. It's not that it's just not convenient for us, right? Sometimes we don't want to go out to a happy hour because I'm tired from work. I'm sleepy. I don't want to go to no happy hour because it's inconvenience. It's inconvenience. That's it. It's not convenient for you. And community does not require complete convenience. It could ease your inconvenience. For example, you're about to move. You don't have money for movers, but you got 4 homeboys, and one of them got a dually truck with a trailer. You're gonna have to inconvenience somebody for your convenience, but you gotta make it worth their while. That means that if one of them homeboys have a baby shower or a birthday or a graduation dinner, guess who the fuck gotta be there? You. And you might have to be there on a Sunday night, the night before you have to go to work. You're inconvenienced, but you inconvenience them. So the least you could do is return the favor. Not saying it has to be transactional.